Welcome to the Commercial Real Estate Expert Certification course. Super excited that you are here with us on this journey today. I, again, am Troy Moliot. I'm your guide, your instructor for this course. We're going to have 7 different lessons that we'll be taking you through over the course of the next several hours. And so welcome. And again, it's exciting to be your guide on this tour. So who are you? Why are you here? Why commercial real estate? Lots of questions. We're going to help you answer those. I'm going to take you through here on the back screen a variety of different things, a presentation, if you will, on what we're going to be doing. The 7 lessons that we'll be going through are: what is CRE? Why CRE? You know, who's involved? Who are the market participants involved in commercial real estate? Lesson 2, we're going to talk about leasing versus sales, 2 different aspects of commercial real estate. And we'll be spending some time in looking at both of those as options for you as a real estate professional. Lesson 3, we're going to be dealing with investment analysis and diving into the real nuts and bolts and the weeds of how to analyze a property, what are some of the tools out there, how to dive in and do investment analysis, what a cap rate is. We're going to deal with all of that in Lesson 3. Lesson 4, we're going to be talking about market analysis and site selection. 2 very, very important things when it comes to locating a property or helping a tenant find a certain site. So that'll be section 4 or lesson 4. Lesson 5, we're going to be talking about commercial real estate technology. A lot of different tools out there available for you as the real estate professional, and we're going to be going through a variety of those for you. Lesson 6, we're going to be talking about marketing for the commercial real estate professional and also for properties. Talk to you about some of those tools that are available there and some techniques that I use as a real estate professional. And then lesson 7, we're going to be doing some actual case studies. And throughout this course, I'll be referring to 4 different real-life properties that I have worked on myself, my team and I, and we have completed, and we'll be taking you actually out on site to all 4 of those, and you'll have all the tools that I use to do those deals. That's the best way that you can learn, is by learning from someone else like myself who has been there and done that. And so welcome, and it's really exciting to have you here. So lesson 1, let's dive right in. Why? Who, what is commercial real estate? Commercial real estate, what is it? Why commercial real estate? Some of you may be a residential professional out there and you're looking to take on another industry. You've heard about commercial real estate, but you don't have the skills or the tools to be able to feel confident in talking and dealing with clients. So this course is for you. And so we're going to be diving in and looking at commercial real estate. Why is it different? We're going to be talking about leasing versus sales and what role you play in the commercial real estate transaction. So what is commercial real estate? Commercial real estate includes all investment real estate outside of residential homes and multifamily units up to 4 units. So real estate is typically business activity is considered commercial. So for example, multifamily apartment homes above 5 units, 20 units, 30 units are going to be considered commercial. An industrial building is going to be considered commercial. A retail project, a strip center, a neighborhood center, a shopping mall, all considered commercial real estate. A duplex, a triplex, a fourplex, a single family house, they all are going to be considered residential. And that's typically defined by lending standards. Most residential loans, matter of fact, all residential loans up to 4 units are considered residential. Anything 5 units and up or any other asset type, property type, is considered commercial. So again, the 4 main asset classes in commercial real estate are multifamily, 5 units and up, industrial properties, office buildings and office properties, and retail. Again, 4 main criteria. There are a variety of other special purpose type of properties, but those are the 4 that we're going to focus on. So multifamily, again, as defined, is going to be any property that is 5 units or more. Investment volume, again, and this is some statistics from 2017. Investment volume was just over $94 billion in actual sales. There's close to 47 million actual apartment units throughout the United States. 36% of the U.S. population rents. Home ownership is about 64%, and so there are people that are always looking to rent a unit, and there is demand for investors building those units and owning those apartment units. And so multifamily is a huge key piece, and in the past, since the Great Recession, in the past 10 years, multifamily has been a very, very important and desired asset class in the United States. This is the case study that we're going to be dealing with. And this is the Knox Street apartment complex. It's a 16 unit that I sold here personally to an investor, and the price was $4 million, and the NOI was $213,000. The cap rate was 5.3. The cash on cash return was 4.4%. The internal rate of return was just under 16%. The price per unit, $222,000. All of these things probably are possibly foreign to you. If you understand them, stop the course. You're already graduated. You probably get all of these things. If not, we're going to take you through, show you how to analyze the property, show you what all these numbers mean, and how they can relate to your client or you as a potential investor buying an apartment building. Industrial properties, the second asset class. Again, almost $44 billion of industrial sales in the third quarter of 2017 were sold. Vacancies are really at an all-time low, almost a 17-year low, just above 5% in the U.S. There's over 12 billion square feet of industrial space in the U.S., according to JLL. And the average rent is roughly $5.25 a square foot. Now that's an annual rate, $5.25. You're going to hear this a lot. Sometimes we quote industrial rates monthly, 40 cents, 50 cents a square foot. Sometimes you hear things quoted annually, and we'll talk more about that and a little bit more about the industry lingo as we move on. We've got an industrial case study. Again, this is an industrial building, a small 2-tenant industrial building that I personally sold to an investor for $350,000. The NOI was just above $22,000. The cap rate was 6.4%. The internal rate of return was just shy of 19%, as you can see. The buyer profile here was a local investor who owns a lot of single-family homes and has been wanting to get into commercial and industrial properties. And so we found this for him and leased the property up and sold it to him for just over $120 a square foot. So that's going to be the Queen Street Industrial, and we'll come back and talk about that, and you'll get on a link below, you'll have access to my pro formas, my templates, all the information on this particular property. Office is a big part of the U.S. Commercial market. Almost $87 billion in sales in that third quarter of 2017. Just over a 4% cap rate. A lot of offices tends to exist in downtown core markets, primary markets within CBDs, central business districts. And so there's over 130 million square feet of office, according to newsoffices.net in 2016. The average asking rents were just shy of $24 a square foot. And that's a triple net rate, and we're going to talk about what triple net means in sessions to come. Just shy of 5 million square feet of under construction, and about 54% of which is already pre-leased. So the office market is doing very well as the economy has come back, and it's a key piece to the commercial real estate market. We have a case study, and on this case, the last two case studies were both sales. The next two are going to be lease deals. And so this is an office building that we've managed and lease out for. And this particular tenant was a family counseling office, and they occupied about 5,700 square feet. And we helped them build out this particular location, sign a 5-year lease. The net usable area was just over 4,800 square feet. There's a load factor of 19%, and we're going to talk about what that load factor means. The lease structure was triple net. Triple net effectively means that the tenant is paying their pro rata share of the building expenses. So taxes, insurance, repairs, maintenance, snow removal, management, all gets broken down on a per square foot basis, and the tenant then pays on a monthly basis their pro rata share of those expenses. So the owner, effectively, the landlord only will pay in a triple net lease any issues that have to do with the site improvements or the roof. So most, if not all of the costs are passed right through to the tenant in a triple net lease. And we'll talk about double net leases. We're going to talk about gross leases. There's a variety of lease structures, so stay tuned. The triple net fees on this particular property when the lease was signed were $4.76 a square foot. That's on a yearly basis, paid monthly. The tenant profile was a local business. They had about 1,500 square feet. They were this particular tenant had a couple of other counselors in the area, and they were expanding their business, and they wanted a much larger office and a brand new office. And so this particular office space was built out for them by the owner of the property, and it was turnkeyed for them. They occupied the space, and they're thriving. Just talked with them not too long ago. Retail property, our last of the 4 major asset types, is retail. Retail is a very unique property type, there's no doubt. In the age of Amazon, retail is under fire a little bit. And so retail is investment sales volume was just shy of $40 million in the third quarter of 2017. There's over 10 billion square feet of retail space out there. The average rents were just shy of $17 per square foot. And again, that's a triple net rate. And the vacancy was just under 5%. Let's talk about retail for a minute. As we buy and consume more and more things online, larger box retail, larger chunks of retail have become I would say somewhat obsolete. Large Kmart's, Sears shops, JCPenney's all have been under fire in the last few years to close large locations. And so this has made available a lot of large chunks of retail. 50,000 square feet, 100,000 square feet locations. And this has created some additional what we would call big box vacancy. But mainly in core markets, smaller tenant sizes, 1,500 square feet, 2,500 square feet, up to 5,000 square feet are doing well. Local neighborhood retail is strong and continues to grow in population areas that are doing well. So there's 2 sides of retail, and we'll talk more about that as we move on. This is a case study that we're going to be talking about. This is a coffee location that was leased. It was a 10-year lease. There was 1,800 square feet in this particular location for this coffee user with a drive-through. It was a triple net lease structure. The tenant has 4 5-year options. So essentially 4 5 years options, that's 20 more years plus 10 years. The tenant controls the property for 30 years. And those are at predefined rent increases. And the base rent on this particular tenant was $35 a square foot. Again, that's an annual rate. So they're paying just under $3 a square foot per month for that space. The triple net fees were just over $5 a square foot for this particular tenant, and it was a regional business. This particular tenant has almost 20 locations, and they were growing and expanding into this particular market, and this location was perfect for them. So those are our 4 asset classes and different case studies that we'll be talking about. And again, you're going to have access to all the information on those deals that I personally was involved with. There are other types of commercial real estate that I do want to highlight and talk about: hotels, gas stations, commercial land, specific use properties, mixed use properties, even businesses. All are classified as commercial real estate and provide opportunities for you to niche in. So why is commercial real estate different? Why? Why is it different as compared to residential? Let's talk about that. Let's talk about the average commercial deal versus a residential transaction. The average deal size in commercial is around $2.5 million from a sales standpoint. Buyers and sellers want a return on their investment. There are about 500,000 different listings, active listings currently available for sale. There's about $250 million dollars for sale currently, and there's about 5.1 billion square feet available for lease. These are coming right off CoStar and LoopNet, which are two national, if not international, databases. I'm a member of both, and they are tools that you can use as a commercial real estate investor or broker. As compared to residential, your average house sale in the U.S. is about $232,000. Buyers and sellers tend to be a little bit more emotionally attached to that residential purchase versus commercial, which can be more based on the numbers. Am I getting the return that I am looking for? There was just shy of 5.5 million transactions in 2016. Obviously, Zillow and Redfin and your local MLS are ways that residential buyers and sellers utilize listing and sale information. So again, just looking at commercial versus residential, some of the deal size, clearly there aren't as many transactions on the commercial size, but they are almost 10 times larger in volume. Plus, there is the leasing side of commercial. There is a variety of tenants that are looking to lease, or landlords that are looking to lease out their particular spaces. And that provides a huge opportunity that has nothing to do with a sale transaction. But you as a real estate agent can get paid and will get paid on lease transactions. Some CRE stats, commercial real estate stats. Realtors closed on average 5 commercial transactions. 93% of them were valued at or below $5 million. The median loan term was about 5 years. Let's talk a little bit about loan here for a minute. Most commercial loans tend to be 3 years, 5 years, 7 years, or up to 10 years in term. They're amortized typically over 25 years. Multifamily, a lot of times, will be 30 years, but most of the time they're amortized over a 25 term. But after 5 to 10 year term, that loan would then be due. That is the one difference than a residential mortgage, which is fixed for 30 years and amortized over 30 years. So it's just something to be aware of. Interest rates, again, they're on the rise here. As we're filming this, they are increasing. The Fed has increased the Treasury rates multiple times and will continue to. And so we anticipate in 2018 through 2020 that interest rates will rise. But at the time we were shooting this, interest rates for commercial were roughly around 5%. U.S. Commercial brokerage and management industry includes about 33,000 different businesses around the U.S. And in the U.S., markets totaled about just shy of $500 billion in the first quarter of 2017. So there's a lot of sales, a lot of opportunity for you with commercial real estate. Let's talk about some of the transactions of properties. And again, these were based around those 4 asset classes, but you can kind of see here, based on the graph, that office in the CBD, and again, that's Central Business District, was roughly 9%, suburban office around 12%, industrial warehouse 15%, industrial flex. There's two main differences in industrial space. We call warehouse, that tends to be just your open box with a couple of bay doors or maybe a grade door. And that is maybe has a small amount of office versus flex industrial, which might have a larger office build out or provide some additional opportunities for different tenants. Multifamily is 13%. Retail broken into smaller strip centers, 10, 20, 30,000 square feet versus a retail mall, which is only about 2% of the sale activity. Land, commercial land is a big part of the commercial market, almost 19%, and then you see hotels at 2%, and then a variety of the other property types round off all of the CRE transactions. Transaction values, again, this shows you kind of where some of those deals that are being done. Only 5% of the deals are over 10 million or more. A lot of people think that they can get into commercial real estate and they're going to find a 10, 20, $50 million deal. They're rare, but they do happen. 5 to 10 million, 3%, and then all the way down. You can see that sweet spot is going to be $500,000 to $1 million, where almost a third of all transactions are occurring in that price range. Closed sales, and again, this is in the past 12 months. You can just see which this is who has closed a commercial real estate transaction, and who has and who hasn't. And again, there's a fair amount of people who have closed a commercial transaction in the past 12 months. So why commercial? Lots of opportunity in the commercial market. This CREE designation certification will help you provide opportunities, identify, help you analyze, and help you close commercial real estate transactions. So super excited that you're here. Let's talk a little bit about the big picture of commercial real estate. There, a lot of times as a residential broker, you feel that you can control the entire transaction. You might represent the buyer, maybe the seller, maybe both. And it's a relatively simple transaction. In commercial transactions, you might have multiple people involved in the deal. And so as you can see here, by our slide, you're going to see we've got the sales on the left side and leasing on the right. And in the middle, we've got a variety of other consultants and advisors that we're going to use. But on the sales side, you've got the buyer in black and the seller's broker, the buyer's broker. And then down below, you've got the seller and the seller's broker. So again, you've got someone representing both the seller of the commercial real estate and the buyer. On the flip side, you're going to have a leasing broker. So there is a tenant out there that's looking to occupy an office tenant, like the family counseling office in the office building case study that we're using. We had a landlord, someone representing the landlord. In that case, that was myself. And that is a landlord representative. So the broker in that particular situation would be known as a landlord rep. A tenant rep is a particular broker that would be representing the tenant. And so you can have a transaction with multiple different brokers and multiple different people coming to the table here. And so this is just a grid that we thought was very informative that would show you again, which side are you on? Who are you and who do you represent? Down the middle, you're going to see a lot of times when we're dealing with leases and lease transactions, we're dealing with attorneys who are writing the leases. A lot of times tenants have very specific use clauses. We're going to go through a variety of those. But you're going to see attorneys, CPAs, title companies, banks, and a variety of vendors involved in all of those commercial real estate transactions. So who's involved? Who's involved? Buyer, seller. Again, we've talked a little bit about this. Who are you representing? And so I want you to be thinking about which hat am I going to wear in this commercial real estate transaction? Am I representing the buyer? Am I representing the seller, the tenant, the landlord? Investors in commercial real estate. And let's talk about who are some of the buyers or the investors within commercial real estate? Who's creating the demand? Who's buying? Who's selling? Investors, businesses, institutions, and REITs, real estate investment trusts. So investors tend to be your local, regional investors, people that are looking to put capital to work, to rent out particular spaces, to buy income-producing properties, and get a return on that investment over a stated period of time. Business owners are other buyers of commercial real estate. Business owners that own, or maybe they've been a tenant in a particular retail building for a while, and they want to own their own building. So they're out looking for a building that they can occupy themselves, and instead of paying rent to a landlord, they want to own their own building and take advantage of some of the core principles of owning investment real estate. Institutions. This is where a lot of the real estate activity takes place. You've got Wall Street money. You've got public and private institutions that are constantly buying and selling large chunks of commercial investment. They're typically chasing deals that are $20 million or higher. The larger the deal, the more attractive that it can be for them, because they tend to put a lot of resources to work, and they're looking for major metro areas. REITs, real estate investment trusts. REITs, there are public and private REITs. These tend to be investors that have come together to pool money to go and buy large chunks of real estate. There are other types of investors in the buying and selling of commercial real estate. And again, this is on the seller side. You could see private investors that are looking to buy and sell commercial real estate. Foreign investors are also very, very large part of the market these days, whether it be from Canada, from Asia. A lot of foreign money that has come into the United States, into primary core markets or large cities, to buy investment real estate. And then last, we have syndicators. Syndicators tend to be deal-specific transactions. A group of people that come together that say, hey, let's buy this particular office building, and let's get 5 or 10 or 20 people together and create a syndicate or a limited partnership and buy the investment property. Investors in commercial real estates, these are top sources of capital. Most people are going towards the local or community banks. About a third of the people that are financing things through those local banks. Regional banks, another 25%. Private investors, big banks, credit unions, life insurance companies, REITs, and commercial mortgage-backed securities all round up the different funding sources that investors are finding to fund their commercial real estate deals. So why do investors buy commercial real estate? Top 4 reasons: cash flow, principal reduction, taxes, and appreciation. All are the 4 main reasons that commercial real estate investors are buying commercial real estate assets. Other reasons that investors want to buy commercial real estate: to diversify their investment portfolio, to find a higher consistent rate of return with interest rates or your dividend savings rates at 1 or 2%. Investors are looking to gain a 5% return, a 10% return, a 20% return. And they can do that in commercial real estate. And so it's all a level of risk. And as interest rates have dropped over the past several years, more and more investors have been looking for higher rates of return, and so real estate has become a very desirable asset and property investment for commercial real estate investors. Let's talk a little bit now about commercial real estate leasing versus sales. And again, these are 2 main divisions of commercial real estate. So who do you represent? You have to understand what hat you're wearing in the real estate transaction. Am I wearing the tenant rep hat? Am I wearing the landlord representative hat? Am I representing the buyer in this transaction or the seller? So again, this is that same grid that we looked at a little earlier. I want to drive this home that this is a grid that you need to come back to and understand, who am I representing in that real estate transaction? So let's look at leasing. Let's talk leasing and commercial real estate as a tenant or a landlord. Tenant rep. We talked about this briefly. A tenant represented by definition is one who acts as the market expert in supplying the prospective tenants with real estate market information and conditions in hopes that they help them find a property to locate in. Responsibilities include local potential, locating those properties, providing an unbiased expertise, drafting an LOI. LOI, here's a key term, letter of intent. That is typically a 1, 2, 3-page document that spells out the terms of what the lease will be written about. And so you're going to draft those LOIs, you're going to negotiate terms, review the lease documents, but not provide legal advice. I want to make sure those are for the attorneys to take care of. I know some brokers that do write their own leases, and you want to be very, very careful anytime that you practice law to make sure you have the appropriate licensing. But a tenant rep, I know brokers that make very good livings at just representing tenants and helping them find properties for those tenants all over a large region. Maybe it's over a state, maybe it's over multiple states or a large region. Sky's the limit. And this is something that you could, if you have a tenant or know of a business that has multiple locations that's looking at growing or expanding, you could be their tenant representative. It's a great business model. Another option is going to be the landlord rep, and we see this in local markets where we have a lot of landlords that are looking to lease space. They have a vacancy, a tenant's moved out, or maybe they're building a brand new property, and they need tenants to occupy that space. And so you're going to represent them. You're going to help them develop a market plan. You're going to show space to the prospective tenants, negotiate offers, and really help them get the best terms. And so putting your sign out, doing an advertising, creating that marketing plan, helping tenants come in and occupy in that location at market terms is what you can do. And this is a very good business. It's been a part of my business for 25 years, and I enjoy leasing property for large properties, small properties for landlords as a representative of the landlord. Sales, on the other side, what role do you play? Obviously, the buyer broker. I'm helping represent that buyer, working with investors, helping them find deals, chase deals, looking to help them create value add to those deals. Helping business owners who are currently renting that want to own, helping them conduct a lease versus sale analysis. What do I mean by this? Showing the tenant that it's better for them to buy a building and invest in a building than it is to pay rent. Lease versus sale analysis. And down at the bottom, I'm going to have a tool and a resource for you to sit down and analyze and look and say, hey, should this tenant lease? Should they own? And maybe it's better for them to lease. Maybe in a certain case, it's better for them to own, depending on their resources and how much capital they have and the market terms and what's available. But again, all tools that you can help as a buyer broker with your potential investors. Another thing will be conducting feasibility analysis. Sometimes I do this for free where I'll analyze a property. Sometimes I get paid to do it. I have people that are calling me and saying, what's this property worth? That's a question that everyone's asking. What's it worth? What's it worth if we raise rents 20%? What's it worth if I lease it out to this tenant and provide this type of tenant improvement to the space? So all different things that you're going to be able to do when you complete this course is conduct a feasibility analysis. Another thing that you'll be able to do as a buyer broker is, you are their commercial real estate financial advisor. I have clients coming in often that are saying, I've got a certain amount of dollars I want to allocate to commercial real estate. And so we create a plan and we look at the 4 main asset classes and we talk about what type of assets they feel comfortable with. Some people don't feel comfortable with industrial or retail or office. They only want multifamily. That's a very common theme, and that's okay. But showing them the risk and the returns available to other property types are part of your duty as a commercial real estate financial advisor. So all options that you can help your clients, you can advocate for them, and you can provide agency services for them. As a seller broker, a lot of investors will hold properties for 5-10 years. Their debt is coming due. They want to buy an additional investment. They want to sell. And so no problem. Maybe they're self-managing an apartment building and they're tired of self-managing it and their rents are below market, and you can do some analysis for them and say, hey, let's sell the property. Not a problem. Take the listing. And so you can work with investors, business owners, developers, help them create a marketing plan, due diligence. A lot of times we'll do a variety of due diligence up front when we take a listing, and we will track 3 years of profit and loss on those properties. We'll look at the current rent roll to make sure that the rents that the tenants are paying are at market. And then we analyze the property, and then we put a complete marketing package together, which you're going to get my marketing package down at the bottom. Somewhere on this website, there'll be a way for you to download my listing presentation and my marketing package and our 8 to 10 step plan that we do for as a seller's broker. You need to understand cap rates. What is a cap rate? Very briefly, a cap rate is that rate of return that you would achieve in 1 year if you paid cash for the property. So if I wanted a 10% cap rate or a 10% return on a $1 million asset, I'd need to generate $100,000. If I only wanted a 5% cap rate or a 5% return, I would only require on that same $1 million asset $50,000. So again, the rate of return, essentially, if you paid cash for the property, is the cap rate. And we're going to talk more about that and what that means, levered versus unlevered, with debt or without debt, in a later session. But again, you're going to be helping those sellers as a broker really identify what are the market cap rates, what can they achieve if they were to sell the property, and to identify the target buyer profile. You also might assist in a 1031 exchange. What is a 1031 exchange? That is the IRS tax code 1031, which allows you to defer your gain in the property to another property. And you have 45 days to identify that property that you're going to buy after the seller has closed on that property, and then you have to close within 180 days. And we're going to bring in Bob, my tax advisor. He's going to have some additional information for you on 1031 exchanges and some tax advantages, so stay tuned on that. Generalist or a specialist? And again, as you look at the different opportunities that you can provide. In my market, we're in a relatively rural area, 200,000 people in the greater county area that I'm in. It's a relatively small to medium-sized market. I'm a generalist, so I'm going to work on every asset type. In larger metro areas, 500,000, million or more, you might just do leasing of office buildings on a 3-block radius. So it just depends on your market and what you might do. As a generalist, you have a lot of flexibility, easier to survive in a smaller market. You've got to have, the drawback is you got to have expertise in almost every asset class. And so it becomes a little trickier. So you just need to take that into account. When you're a specialist, you get a deeper dive or expertise, and you really niche in that specific property type. And that can be a huge benefit to you and can help you leverage your business. You become that micro expert within that certain market. Why do residential agents avoid CRE? Why have you not done a deal ever before? A lot of it is fear, or the lack of knowledge, or potentially time. So again, what prevents you from focusing on commercial real estate? The fear that you don't have the knowledge or skill to execute. Fear in dealing with someone else's money or life or investment. These are big ticket dollar items. You need to have that knowledge and skill set to be able to provide that service for your clients. And so we're going to give you that skill set. You're going to have that knowledge when you finish this course. So I'm really excited for the journey that you're on. We've got some homework here for you in the first session. And what you're going to do is I want you to gather and research and gather 2 commercial real estate sales and 2 commercial real estate leases in your market. As I gave you 4 different case studies that I've worked on, my apartment deal, the industrial sale deal, the office lease, and then also the coffee retail lease. I want you to try to go find 4 transactions, 2 sales, 2 leases in your market. Maybe you've done some of those transactions, maybe you have no clue. So I want you to find your local MLS, go onto LoopNet, go to one of the commercial MLSs that are out there and research and find. If you have nowhere to go, call that commercial broker sign that you've seen down the street that's for sale or for lease somewhere. Call them and quiz them. I'm trying to gain some information, want to understand about this deal. What's the space available for lease? I want you to bring that information back. I want you to talk to the brokers, talk to the buyers, gather the financial details, research some comparables, and bring that back to us so that you have those case studies to be able to take through this course. So I'm super excited about what you're going to be able to do. Learning, what's going to help you learn in this course is going and learning from me, the deals that I've done, and then also finding those particular sales and leases in your market so that you know those deals inside and out. This is going to help you immensely, give you the comfort and the knowledge to be able to do your own commercial real estate transactions. So, pretty exciting. If you want to go further, we have some resources on MyNOI. It's a site that my team and I have created, and we've got tools, videos that I have provided that talk about what's a cap rate, internal rate of return, how to sell an investment in a fast-moving market, 8 steps to hire your commercial broker, all sorts of videos and tools right here on this site. So, super exciting. Glad you're here. That ends lesson 1, and thanks.